And what is happening usually, it's a huge gap between the stress perception and what is your stress biology.
Lavinia from Macasio, thank you so much for coming in to visit us.
Thank you.
It's an interesting one because we're going to talk today about stress.
Yeah.
And every single viewer of the show owns a business, runs a business, is scaling a business, is wrapped up in building a business. And often we see it a hell of a lot with founders that they don't realize that they're stressed. But we might see a difference in them from 1 month to the next, or if we haven't seen them in 6 months, he looks a bit disheveled, or looks a bit stressed, but he doesn't realize it, or she doesn't realize it, that they're going through it. But the business you founded a year ago, you're trying to help people manage their stress, solve the issues with stress. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. And actually, everyone's stress is different. So we all know that. So some people might feel the stress in a way, others in another way. So some people might feel anxious, nervous, have sleep problems, being moody, all those kind of negative issues, and the list is much longer. Other people, can be excited about under stress, and both are right, because it's true that there is a good stress and also a bad stress, a harmful stress.
Okay.
So the good stress, for example, well, we all know it. Falling in love, being promoted, being excited about a project. So, all things that boost us up.
Yep.
But when stress is too prolonged, so it's there for too long, or it's too intense, then our recovery capacities are overwhelmed. So this stress become harmful.
Okay.
So maybe a few words, what is stress actually? So this notion, it's quite vague in people's mind. So even if everyone's know kind of what it is. So stress is a fight or flight reaction. So it's an inbuilt system which helped us to survive as a species. Actually, so if an animal wanted to eat us, so we had to fight him or live or run within seconds to save our lives. So in order to do that, what do we need? So in seconds, in milliseconds actually, so we need an extra amount of energy in order to run or to fight this animal. And this is possible thanks to some hormones and some molecules that are secreted in our body. So to produce this extra energy so fast, what's happening, our organism, so it will privilege these organs and system who help us to run or fight, like muscles. So we will have more power in our muscles. Our heart will beat faster, our blood pressure will be higher, so we'll pump more blood towards our muscles to be more powerful. Our senses will be exacerbated, so we need to see better, we need to take decisions faster to find a solution. So all these comes with an expense. We have to shut down other organs and systems. So this energy doesn't come up, from nowhere. So we then shut down organs and systems. Then we are thinking that they are not needed during this emergency state. Like, for example, digestion. Okay, so we will slow down the digestion. We will slow down actually the whole metabolism. Okay, we don't need reproduction and libido. Slow down. Don't need it. Immunity, it will also be slow down. This is why under stress we can be often more sick than usual. We are often sick.
It's interesting with that. So usually, right, as a species, a long time ago, we would have that instant reaction.
Exactly.
But today with stress, is that elongated? Is that the same reaction you have when a lion is trying to eat you, as in
Exactly.
just pressure from VCs or investors.
Ex-
but it's a long term.
Yeah.
Is that the difference?
It's no difference. So
okay,
this
yes.
system, well, we still have the same mechanism to respond to a stressor. So what is stress? Is actually it's the response to a stressor. And nowadays we don't have lions who wants to eat us, but we have other stressors, and the stressors from our modern life, they are mostly psychosocial stressors. So, well, from being stuck in the traffic, having a meeting with our boss, or whatever, financial stress, everything. Well, the spectrum, it's very large. And interestingly, the same mechanism is also activated when we are anticipating a stress, not necessarily when we are in a meeting with our boss, even thinking,
About
the
the
night
meeting.
before, oh my God, tomorrow I will have a meeting with a VC or my boss. This anticipation will start the same mechanism, which means so we will have our cortisol raising, we will have more adrenaline, noradrenalines, and other molecules who are acting in this process.
Of course. And okay, so a founder, the issue that we see a lot is that it's building a business isn't something that's done overnight, right? It takes so much time. And I think what happens is founders start to think that that's the norm.
Yeah.
They think, not being able to do anything on the weekend because they're so tired during the week is the norm. I'm building a business, that's the norm. Or I get sick a lot, but that's because I'm run down from working so hard. That's the norm. So with Akesio, what way can they find out if they are stressed, or if they are? How in detail can it go?
Well, actually, the idea from building Akesio, I wanted a more data-driven approach to provide this a more personalized solution for stress. Because what is happening today, if finally, let's say, a founder or a startup founder wants to decide to ask for help, which is quite unusual, unfortunately. But if, let's say, he realized I'm too stressed, I want to do something about that. If he goes today to see a doctor or a psychologist or whatever professional, the answer to that, it will be mostly based on their declarative symptoms. I'm feeling like that. I am, which is okay, but it's
not
far.
scientific.
It's not enough for sure, because as a founder, especially, founders, they generally have strong personalities, and they are there because they can bear a lot, and they also get used with that stress because it is their
life.
It's their life, their quotidian. They live like that. So very quickly they get used to that. They get used to be tired. They get used to be all the time under pressure. So they don't feel anymore. But let's say they realize it's too much. They have this. They do this. They decide to see a doctor. So the response, it cannot be too much personalized, only based by the declarative symptoms, because it can. What is happening usually, it's a huge gap between the stress perception and what is your stress biology. So when we the interest to look at stress biology, so measuring these hormones like cortisol, DHEA, adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, and so on. So we literally see how your body reacts to stress.
Okay.
And then, we will take into consideration also, your lifestyle, your medical history. So we want also to interpret these numbers within your real life context, not only, just numbers.
If a founder realize, and it is right, I think it's important to say that founders probably don't look at themselves enough and they just concentrate on building the business, and they don't often look at themselves as if they're failing. I put it this way, a lot of the times founders, they read books and this and that about being fit, right? And I had to go to the gym because I need to be fit, but they aren't really concentrating on their mind as well as their body. So with Akesio, they find out, like they send off a urine sample and a saliva
yeah.
sample, and then it comes back saying you're stressed in XYZ area, but that's telling them that there's a problem. Where does the solution come in? Is it we recommend more sleep, or we recommend a diet change, or we recommend, what way do you solve the problem instead of pointing out the problem?
Yeah, so looking at those numbers and also like I said, their lifestyle and other symptoms, because they might also have, I don't know, belly pain or libido problems, so or how is their sleep or mood. So the recommendations are grouped in several categories. So they will have, for example, some supplements based on those numbers. If, let's say, their dopamine is too low, or their cortisol is too high, or they have an opposite pattern, they will have some plants or some amino acid who will balance those numbers. But it's not only that. Also, a recommendation for their diet. Okay, everybody knows we need to eat vegetables and proteins, but when we know your numbers, then we can say, okay, maybe it's better for you to increase your protein intake, your dopamine, it's too low, and especially you would need to eat more food rich in some amino acid like L-tyrosine or L-phenylalanine, which are the precursor for dopamine.
Okay, right.
For example, for sport, so they will also have some advice. If, let's say, their cortisol is dropping too much in the afternoon, so we are looking at several data points during the day. So we need to see this curve, which is there is a peak in the morning and then will decrease during the day and the evening. So if in the afternoon it's a drop too deep, then, and if we knew, okay, after work I used to go to boxing or tennis or very high intense activity, we would recommend, well, maybe you need to change either the activity, so switch to yoga or walking or
do it in the morning.
A light activity, and do an intensive activity in the morning. For you, it's not the right time and the right exercise.
Okay.
And then they will also receive mindfulness advice, starting from some basics like learning how to breathe, some recommendation for guided meditation, and right now I'm working to a mindfulness program. For 6 weeks you'll be guided step by step. Every week you will have some things to learn about mindfulness, and some others advice like we know that, but to remind things like laughing, it's very good for stress. I mean, there are very serious studies about that. Spending time in nature, musicotherapy, melotherapy, everything who gives you pleasure. Of course, friends, and spend time with friends and have enough breaks.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting because we're about to run out of time, but it's interesting because I think there's a big gap there's a big mental leap between being a founder and then making the leap to go to therapy or to.
Yeah.
It seems quite daunting for founders to say, I have to call up, I have to make an appointment, I have to possibly take time off, and I have to go in and sit in a waiting room, go in and tell someone. So there's a huge gap between the two. But I think this being essentially, it's a tech product, right? It's so I think it fits the founder. So we'll link up everything below, so founders can please do go check it out if you're watching the show and have a look. And thank you, Lavinia, for coming in to us.
And just to add, it will not replace the therapist. I mean, if someone, I estimate they will need a therapist, of course I will, and it's the case. I already refer people to a therapist. I suggest that, of course, everyone will decide. But
you can complement each other.
Yeah.
Great,
exactly.
Lavinia. Thank you so much for coming in. Cheers.
Thank you very much.